You were never just skin and bones. You were never only breath and thought. You are vibration wrapped in memory, a spark echoing from the very first breath the universe ever took. But someone, or something, made you forget. There are moments when the truth tries to return, when your body trembles at certain sounds, as if the air itself is speaking to you, when you look too long at the sky and feel a pull in your chest you cannot explain. When silence doesn't feel empty, but heavy, as if it is hiding voices you almost recognize. This is not madness, it is memory, rising from beneath the surface of your being, and buried inside you, beneath the rhythms of thought and bone, lies a door no one told you about. It waits just below your navel. A secret chamber, a silent lock that holds the ancient current of your energy. To most, it feels like nothing more than flesh and blood. But to those who dare to listen, it is the hidden door of ancient energy. Every culture that spoke of power, of breath, of light, pointed here. Taoist sages called it the lower Dantian, the sea of Qi. Ancient mystics described it as a womb of spirit where the soul remembers its origin. Close your eyes and imagine a golden door glowing faintly inside you. The more you breathe, the brighter it becomes. Behind it lies not only your vitality, but your forgotten self. Why would nature hide something so powerful in such a small place? Why would existence bury the key to your memory in the quietest chamber of your body? The answer is simple, because only those who are willing to search within, to turn inward instead of outward, could find it. This spot beneath your navel is not an accident of anatomy. It is a threshold into the current that once flowed freely through you before the noise of the world covered it. To touch it, even with your mind, is to awaken something ancient that has been waiting patiently for your return. You may think this is a video. It is not. It is a doorway, and once you cross it, you will never look at yourself the same way again. If, as you hear these words, your soul stirs even slightly, if you feel something ancient inside you shift, like an ember remembering it was once fire, then know this, the remembering has already begun. Follow this thread before it fades again. Subscribe to the Spine Gospel, not because you are curious, but because deep down you remember. You felt the stirring, the faint ember beneath your breath. But what is this hidden door beneath your navel, and why does it carry such weight in the story of the human soul? The truth has been whispered for thousands of years, never in one language, never in one form, but always pointing to the same place. The body is not just flesh, it is a map, and at the center of that map lies the door we are speaking of. Long before the hum of machines, when men lived by stars and silence, the sages of China called this place the Lower Dantian, the Sea of Qi. To them it was not theory, but survival. Every breath began here, every martial art, every healing practice, every act of balance came from grounding themselves in this center. To lose it was to scatter, to remember it was to return. Across the sands of Egypt, the priests spoke of something similar. They believed the human vessel carried the ka, the life force, as a flame protected within the temple of the body. Where was it stored? Not in the heart, not in the head, but in the belly, below the navel. Tomb paintings show spirals and suns radiating from the abdomen, as though life itself glowed from that silent chamber. Hermetic philosophers, centuries later, echoed this truth. As above, so below, they said. The cosmos was mirrored in man, and man was a reflection of the cosmos. If the stars had a center, so too did the human being. And it was here, in the silent ocean of energy beneath the navel, where the heavens bent down and touched flesh. But these are not just records of tradition, they are pieces of a puzzle. When joined, they reveal a door that has always been there, not of wood or stone, but of vibration and light. Imagine it, a lock hidden within your own body, waiting not for a key of metal, but a key of awareness. A mirror behind the skin, catching the reflection of something eternal. A womb that is not physical, but spiritual, holding within it the memory of your first beginning. Every culture dressed this door in different names, but the essence was the same. This was the place of return, the hidden source. To open it was to align with creation itself. To ignore it was to wander without direction. You once knew this door without needing to be told. Watch a child breathe. Their small stomach rises and falls, centered not in the chest, but in the belly. They are naturally in tune with the source. But as we grow, something shifts. We move upward into the mind, into fear, into control. We tighten. We forget. The door is sealed not by force, but by noise. And yet the body never forgets. The faint pull you sometimes feel, the strange calm when you breathe deeply, the inexplicable warmth in your lower belly when silence surrounds you. These are not accidents. They are reminders, echoes of a current that has been waiting patiently, as if it knows you would one day return. The ancients created chants, breaths, and stillness to reopen this door. They treated it as sacred, because to touch it was to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. But here is the haunting question. If so many traditions knew this truth, why does our world not speak of it today? Why do our books and our science pass over it in silence? Because every hidden door has a guardian, and the guardian of this door is the illusion we now live in. Illusions have always been the strongest chains humanity wears, Chow. Irons not forged of iron, but of thought. They are the silent prisons built around perception. And perhaps the greatest of these illusions is the belief that reality is only what we can touch, see, and measure. This belief has been whispered into us by culture, by tradition, and by the systems that profit from keeping our vision narrow. But look closer. Every culture, every religion, every ancient teacher left behind stories not of a material world alone, but of unseen currents that shape our lives. When you peel back the curtain of illusion, you begin to see that the ordinary is a carefully painted mask, hiding something extraordinary. The illusion tells us, your body is only flesh. Yet traditions from Egypt to India spoke of an energy flowing through it. What the Egyptians called the Ka, what the Chinese called Chi, what Indian sages called Prana. If all these civilizations scattered across the earth, separated by oceans and centuries, spoke of this same invisible breath, is it truly just imagination? Or have we been taught to dismiss it as superstition because it would make us too free, too aware, too untamed? The illusion tells us, your mind is merely thought. But shamans believed dreams were doorways. Monks believed silence could open dimensions within. Mystics believed memory was not only personal, but ancestral, that in us lived the voices of those before us. If that is true, then every instinct you've ever felt, every strange knowing you couldn't explain, may not be random at all. It may be a ripple of something far older, far wiser, breaking through the illusion of separateness. The illusion tells us death is the end. Yet cultures across the earth describe the afterlife, the passage, the bridge. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian papyri, the Christian vision of resurrection, all point to death, not as silence, but as transition. Why would civilizations with no contact, no common language, all insist on the same truth? Unless, of course, they had glimpsed it, unless the veil between life and death is thinner than the illusion makes us believe. Breaking the illusion is not about rejecting science or reason. It is about seeing the limits of the stage upon which we've been told to act. The illusion is the script handed to us. Be born, work, consume, obey, die. But beyond that script lies a greater text, written not in ink, but in symbols, in energies, in synchronicities that follow you like a quiet song waiting to be heard. Think about the times when coincidence struck too perfectly, when you thought of someone and they called, when you felt danger before it came, when a dream guided you. Were those accidents? Or did you, for a moment, see beyond the painted wall of the illusion? The ancients knew the human body itself holds the keys. They carved symbols on stone, they traced lines on papyrus, they whispered chants under stars. These were not just rituals, they were acts of remembrance, ways to pierce the veil, to remind themselves that this life was not the whole picture. And here, dear listener, is where the greatest secret rests. Illusions do not fall with force, they fall with awareness. The moment you begin to see them, they crack, they dissolve. The mirror shatters and reality, raw, luminous, terrifying, beautiful, stands before you. It is here that we must pause, not in fear, but in courage, for breaking the illusion is only the beginning. What lies beyond it is something even more unsettling, even more liberating, a science of the spirit, a blueprint written into your very being. And that is where we now turn. Science often insists that the universe is ruled by chance, by particles colliding in a meaningless dance. Yet the mystics whispered something different, that beneath the randomness lies a living code, a pulse of order hidden within the apparent chaos. They believed that the human body is not just flesh and bone, but a cosmic instrument, finely tuned to the same vibrations that weave galaxies into being. Think of your heart. It beats in rhythms so precise that if measured, they resemble the patterns of the stars in their revolutions. The ancients saw no separation here. The beat of your pulse was the echo of the heavens. Egyptian priests spoke of this as Mat, the principle of harmony that binds all existence. In India, sages named it RTA, the eternal order behind creation. Across distant lands and separated centuries, they all pointed to the same truth. You are not a fragment lost in the void. You are a living equation in the great mathematics of being. Modern science, without realizing it, has begun to brush against these ancient ideas. Quantum physics tells us that particles communicate instantly across vast distances, as if bound by an invisible thread. The mystics called this thread the breath of God, or the ether, while today we speak of entanglement. Neuroscience has discovered that memory is not simply locked in the brain, but distributed across the body, as if your very cells are libraries of forgotten histories. Is this why mystics believed that touching certain points in the body could awaken cosmic memory? That pressing a spot on the palm, the forehead, or beneath the ear could open doors into other worlds? The body, they taught, is a map of the cosmos. Your spine is the axis mundi, the world tree connecting heaven and earth. Your blood is the river Nile, flowing with hidden knowledge. Your breath is the wind of creation, the same wind that hovered over the waters in the beginning. Science measures neurons, synapses, and hormones. But the mystics asked us to feel, to experience how a chant could change the chemistry of the blood, how silence could reset the nervous system, how a single tear could shift the entire frequency of the soul. There is a subtle power here, one that bridges both science and spirit. Imagine for a moment that your body is not a cage but an antenna, designed to receive and transmit energies that modern instruments can barely detect. When you sit in stillness, you are not doing nothing. You are tuning. When you breathe with awareness, you are not merely inhaling oxygen. You are aligning with the rhythm that moves the planets. When your hands press against the hidden points, when your heart sinks into silence, you are performing a forgotten science, one that unites what the laboratory studies and what the temple once taught. This is the great paradox. The mystics were scientists, and the scientists are slowly becoming mystics. Both chase the same flame, though by different paths, and the truth waits patiently, like a star behind the clouds, until we are ready to see that our bones, our breath, our very being are part of a larger equation. The spiritual science is not about choosing one side over the other. It is about dissolving the illusion that they were ever divided. It is about remembering that every experiment in the lab and every prayer in the temple are gestures toward the same mystery, the mystery that lives inside of you. If you look closely at the ruins scattered across our planet, you will notice something extraordinary, an invisible thread connecting civilizations that never met, yet seem to speak the same symbolic language. From the temples of Angkor to the tombs of Egypt, from the mandalas of India to the sacred stones of Mesoamerica, the human body was seen not merely as flesh and bone, but as a map of the cosmos itself. And at the very center of this living map lay a point beneath the navel, what many traditions called the foundation stone of life. The Egyptians referred to it through their hieroglyphs and the secret teachings of the priests, describing it as the solar womb, where divine energy entered the human form. In their mystery schools, initiates were taught breathing and focusing techniques that directed awareness toward this center, awakening an inner light that they claimed could open the gates to immortality. For them, the was not superstition, but sacred science, encoded in the geometry of the pyramids, whose proportions mirrored the ratios found in the human body. Across the desert sands and over the oceans, the same wisdom appeared in Vedic India. Yogis spoke of the Svadhisthana chakra, situated just below the navel. It was described as a lotus glowing with 6 petals, radiating a deep orange flame. This center governed not only creation and sexuality, but memory, imagination, and the waters of life itself. To touch it in meditation or ritual was to enter the reservoir of ancestral wisdom, what we might call the genetic memory encoded in our DNA. They called it a doorway into the river of consciousness that flows through all beings. In China, Taoist masters developed the idea of the lower dantian, literally the field of elixir. Situated beneath the navel, it was believed to be the storage place of qi, the vital breath. To strengthen the lower dantian was to stabilize the body, calm the mind, and anchor the spirit. Taoist texts described this point as the furnace where cosmic and earthly energies mingled, forging the golden light that allowed practitioners to ascend to higher states of existence. It was not only a practice of healing, but a preparation for immortality. Even in the hidden teachings of the Maya and the Aztec priests, the lower belly was depicted as the navel of the earth, the place where the cosmic serpent coiled before rising up the spine. Ancient carvings often show a serpent uncoiling from the stomach region, ascending toward the head, a symbolic map of energy rising from the foundation to the crown, echoing the very same truths spoken in distant lands. What does this tell us? That the ancients were pointing to a universal design, a blueprint embedded within the human form. They may have used different languages, hieroglyphs, Sanskrit verses, Taoist scrolls, Mayas, and glyphs, but the message was the same. Beneath the navel lies the hidden door, a door that connects us to creation, to memory, to the very origins of our being. And perhaps this is why they guarded this knowledge so carefully, cloaking it in myth, symbols, and rituals. To reveal it openly would have been dangerous, for in the wrong hands, this knowledge could enslave rather than liberate. Power over the human body is power over the soul itself. Yet the blueprint was never entirely erased. It survived in whispers, in hidden diagrams, in chants passed down through temple halls. It is still here, waiting for those willing to listen with more than their ears, to feel with more than their hands. For the blueprint was not meant to be studied from afar, but lived, breathed, embodied. The question that remains is not whether this knowledge exists, but whether you are ready to open yourself to it, to stand at the threshold of this ancient door, beneath your own navel, and ask, what lies on the other side of the blueprint? Beneath the surface of daily life, beneath the noise of obligations and the restless tide of thought, there waits a silence older than time. The ancients knew this silence well. They called it the source, the breath that gives breath, the light that ignites all lights. To them, the energy center beneath the navel was not just flesh and bone, but a living doorway to that eternal current. To reconnect with it is to return home. When you bring your awareness gently to this space, you may notice at first only a subtle warmth, a pulse that seems no different from the rhythm of your heartbeat. But linger. Listen. That warmth begins to expand, rippling outward, as if the body itself is remembering something it has long forgotten. The ancients believed that this sensation was not merely physiological. It was the soul stirring, turning back toward its origin. In Taoist practice, this space was the lower dantian, the vessel of qi, where life energy gathered like water filling a deep well. In yogic traditions, it was linked to the sacral chakra, swadhisthana, where desire, creation, and the flow of divine water converged. The Sufis, too, whispered of a hidden light below the navel, a lamp of God that could guide the seeker inward when the outer world grew dim. Across cultures, the message was the same. This spot is not random, but an inner compass pointing to source. Modern life has made us forget this compass. We rush, we consume, we scatter ourselves across endless distractions. The body tightens, the breath shortens, the silence vanishes. Yet the doorway remains. It waits patiently, untouched, like a secret temple in the desert sands. All that is required is the will to enter. The first step is breath, deep, slow, intentional. Inhale as though you are drawing energy directly into your belly. Exhale as though you are releasing centuries of burden. Feel the abdomen expand and contract, not shallowly in the chest, but deeply from the center. This act, so simple, has always been the bridge. Breath is the language the source understands. The second step is awareness. Place your hand just beneath your navel and close your eyes. Do not strain or force. Instead, imagine you are listening to a distant song. At first, it may be faint, but with time, the vibration grows clearer, the resonance stronger. That is not imagination. That is the source calling you back. The third step is surrender. This is the most difficult for the modern mind, which clings and calculates. But the ancients knew, energy does not flow where there is resistance. To reconnect with the source, one must soften, release, and allow the current to carry them. Like a river, it does not need your command. It only needs your trust. And what happens when you truly connect? Those who have walked this path describe a profound sense of belonging, as though the universe itself were breathing with them. Some feel a warmth that spreads through their limbs like liquid fire. Others sense visions, colors, patterns, or memories that seem older than their own lifetime. Yet all describe the same core realization. The source is not outside you. It has always been within you, waiting in stillness. The ancient masters did not guard this wisdom for power, but as a reminder. Return to the belly, they said, and you will return to the earth, the sky, and the stars. Return to the belly, and you will return to God. This was their map, their blueprint for living in harmony with the invisible forces of life. As you breathe now, as you rest your hand just below your navel, you too are stepping into this timeless practice. The silence is here. The doorway is open. And in the soft pulse beneath your fingers, you may discover that you are not separate from the source. You are its very expression. The circle has been drawn. The whispers of the ancients have been heard. And yet, your journey does not end here. It never does. Every secret you have just touched, every hidden rhythm of your breath, every forgotten echo of your soul, these are not fragments of a story outside of you. They are your story. The same blueprint etched in temples, written in starlight, and hidden in sacred scripts lives within your very pulse. But here is the truth. The ancients never wanted you to forget. You were never lost. The path was never broken. It was only hidden beneath the noise of this world. You are the temple. You are the scripture. You are the memory of the cosmos breathing in human form. When you press your hand to your chest and feel the quiet drumbeat of your heart, do not think of it as a mere organ. Think of it as the drum of eternity, keeping rhythm with galaxies beyond sight. When you close your eyes and breathe deeply, do not imagine that you are inhaling just air. What enters is memory, light, and fragments of a song that began before time was even spoken into being. The ancients taught that awakening is not a single act. It is not one prayer, one ritual, one vision. It is a returning, again and again, like waves washing back to the shore. Each breath is another chance to remember. Each moment of silence is another doorway opening. Each sensation of wonder is another thread reconnecting you to the source. So here you stand, not at the end of a documentary, not at the closing of a tale, but at the threshold of your own awakening. What you carry now is not knowledge, it is a seed waiting to grow into sight, sound, and power if you choose to water it with attention, with stillness, and with trust. The ancients will not walk this path for you. Neither will the stars, nor the forgotten gods, nor the hidden scriptures. They have already whispered all they can. The rest is yours. You are the continuation of their voice. So remember this: you are not a seeker of light. You are light, rediscovering itself. And as we close this circle, breathe deeply. Let the silence between these words linger. Let it sink into your pulse. The portal is not closing. It is waiting, patiently, inside you. Always.